Welcome to Movie Lounge. Today is our Tuesday episode. Sorry I couldn't get you guys episode yesterday. I was dealing with allergies during the weekend, visiting family, and it bogged me down, so I would sound way worse than I am now. But today we're going to talk about the timeline of movies, and what that means is the process of from start to finish. I'm going to try to make it as much as possible. If you guys want, you guys can chime in and comment and stuff. So let's get down to it. And by the way, this is one of my favorite topics. So I'm going to make it as short as possible, but make it good. So the process starts pretty much with an idea. And what that idea is, it can be anything. It can be from when you see a Japanese movie, going from seeing a Japanese movie and then taking it to another idea. Like with George Lucas making Star Wars, he saw, I think it was the 13 Samurais. I'm going to get it wrong. I'm sorry. You guys in the comments can let me know. This is what that movie was. So, like George Lucas saw a movie, and he saw Flash Gordon. He saw all these serial type movie shows on TV and other movies, and he came up with Star Wars. And that became a massive hit, and it became such a success that people wanted more. So it does start with an idea, and then it comes to writing it all down. And that, to me, that process it's fun up until the writing of the script. I'm not good at writing scripts. I can do them, I just find them tedious. I'd rather be doing something more technical. So usually what a person who writes a script writes a rough draft, and usually it can be about 2 paragraphs to like very long, multiple pages. And what a script and I just blanked out on the word. It's kind of like a description of the film in short. So you're writing this whole entire description of the story, paragraphs, and you're describing them, who the character is, and you're going through the entire script, but just condensing it all down to where it's more understandable. It's more broad on things. So when you hand it to a director, and I'm still thinking of the word, that's why I'm kind of pausing a little bit, but when you hand it to like a director, producer, or anyone in the studio, they'll look over it, and they're like, okay, and then you write the script. Usually some people write the script first and then do the description of it, the whole entire script. So you can do either one of those first or last, it doesn't matter. But when you do send them the script, the studio will read it and they'll go through it. Sometimes, actually a lot of times, they'll put it in a warehouse, not an actual warehouse, but just they call it the warehouse, or they give it a different name. And then they'll put it in there and leave it there. Leave it sitting there. Tons of scripts are there. And then if it gets picked, usually if it's like Ridley Scott or someone big, Peter Jackson, George Lucas, or J.J. Abrams, if he writes a script, he can go make that movie because he has allowed himself enough credibility to do those films. But if you're starting low end like me or like someone else who makes short films or short budget movies, they have to go through a major process of getting their script picked. And if it gets picked, then they get to, sometimes they won't get to be the directors, they'll pick someone else. Or if you get picked the director, then you have to do a casting call or casting. And so you get all these people to come together, and it's up until this time, it's fun, but it's not fun for me. And it's fun for other people because you have to hear people do the same line, audition for it. And you have to go through like hundreds, maybe thousands, depending on the movie, of all these actors who want to be in the movie. And you'll get tons of people, and you have to say no. You'll have to get used to saying no. It is better to say no than saying yes. Because if you say yes right away, then you're going to get someone you're not going to appreciate being in because they're just there. You want someone to fit the role and fit the criteria of what you're looking for. Because this is your baby. You're you made this. And sometimes when you write a script, it's totally gonna be different. Studios are like, no, we're gonna do this, we're gonna change it, and stuff. And then once they find, you get a casting director, you get agents, and it becomes a big old fiasco of trying to find your actors. And finally, when that happens, then you go into the side of pre-production, which I like. You start with location scouting. You scout for where you want to be at, and then most places now are going to be in studios, and so they can make all these elaborate places. But if you want to do on-set locations, you go find a place like, ooh, I like this, I like that. Let's use this. You take pictures, then you take those photos to the art department. They sketch out everything. They draw everything. They add things. The art department is where they do rough drafts of ideas. Like if you want to do sci-fi, they'll draw ships, they'll do everything. And it's kind of cool. From there in the art department, you have tons of different departments. As I'm explaining this, you're going to realize there's more to this than just a simple like, ooh, get a guy who can do camera, sound, the clapperboard thing, the directors, producers, actors. There's tons of different departments that make a movie, and that's what's so cool. You have hundreds of people coming together, maybe thousands, of just making one movie, and it's so cool how that happens. So from the art department, you have people drawing, doing animation, doing all this stuff. You have the storyboard department that's taking the script, and I've done this before, where you read the script and then you dissect everything. You take the and I was in script data log, which I read one movie script like 5 or 6 times. I read it and I find the main characters. And I would take that and I would do a description. So the storyboard and the editors can take those images, take those data logs, and then do the storyboard. So then they can pin it up on a wall. And usually the wall, you just have to find one long blank wall and post things on it. And then that's where the director comes in and then will look over like, ooh, I like this, I like that, let's do this, I don't want that. So then they condense everything, put it all together in a storyboard way. Then you have the cinematography. Through all that time, you find your cinematographer and your camera crew and who you want to do the film with. And then the cinematographer will go to the places and look at the area and find, okay, what time would this be good, the sun lighting. And a lot of times the sun does play a big role. And there's a thing called the twilight hour that is really cool. It's right when the sun comes up and also when the sun comes down. A lot of people will film, if they miss the time filming in the morning when the sun is just right up there, they can go film when the sun is coming down at the same time as the sun was going up and shoot in the evening, and you won't even know if it is morning or evening. That's the twilight hour. And a lot of cinematographers enjoy doing that because that's when the lighting of the sun is just perfect and you can work really well with it. And you have the shortest amount of time to do that because it goes really quick. Usually you can get like a few, maybe 1 to 3 shots in there, depending on what it is, but you don't get many shots to take in that day. Because those times, and sometimes you can do it twice. You can do it in the morning if you want to do it in the evening, or you can do it in the evening. So it depends, but most people like doing that. So once you have the cinematographer find the places, and then they deal with finding camera people, and they get to pick like, okay, this lens will be good for that shot and stuff. They go through that process. Then you go into the actual set designs where they make the sets. They go through hours of just creating what was on the piece of paper into a full image. And they'll design it to a T. They'll go into detail. I know on Alien Covenant, I saw one featurette where they were going into detail of things that you don't even need, that you won't even notice. But they're going that much detail so when the light hits it, it looks real. And that's pretty much what set designers do. They go through so much detail in making it right because they want to make this movie good. Then from there, And that's like months. That can last for months. And all of this process, it's from writing a script and doing the description of it. All that may take a few months to a year. It depends on the script and depends on how much you're pushing to make this script happen. And then the whole acting, casting deal is going to take a few months. So you're already almost to a year and you haven't even begun. Sometimes it'll be less than a year. You haven't begun filming. It's a huge process of getting it all ready. Because once you start filming, it's like a race. Once the gun goes off, you go. And you go all the way to the finish line. So now, once you get all that done, through that whole process, you have a crew called the previs or previsualization. And my brother is part of a company that does that in Los Angeles. And I name drop the third floor. And most of the movies that you see, like Marvel movies, they have done that. And what their job is to make the script into animation. They animate the whole thing in the script. And you'll never see this side of it. You'll never see it. And it's really cool from stuff I've seen them do. And so what this allows studios to do is to do real-time pre-visualization, or go to the studio, go to the place where the company's at, and they look at it, they overlook at it and like, okay, because they're seeing it done in animation. And that my brother can explain this, and the guys that he works with can explain this better. But it's pretty much what they do is they make the movie in animation, and it's not like it's rough cut kind of animation. And the director looks over it, so he knows what he's seeing already. And so they'll have people come in, do the voices, they'll do the whole thing. So when the director sees it, he goes over, he goes, okay, I like that, can you change this? And they change it all. So when they finally get into filming, they can look at the previous stuff and see what they like, and then they can actually shoot it. And now you can do it with, if it's like live action animation or like Avatar, they can do it where they have a little screen that they hold, and they can see the world in the animation or the visual effects. They can see all that stuff. And so they can know, so when the actors are doing it on green screen or blue screen, they can see what's going on, and they can know, okay, this is going to go on. So then once the whole filming goes through, and it's going for months and months, maybe years, or a year or two, then through all of that, they have a department, visual effects department, like Weta Digital or ILM, and they'll go through and they'll start making, if it's anything to do with visual effects or visual effects, they'll go through the whole process of animating it and making it just right. So when they get raw footage, they can add that in there, and the visual effects editor can add that in there. So then you also have special effects guys, key, grip, you have prop people who are doing the clothing. All these different things are going on at the same time. And it's just, it starts, if someone has one question, it goes out the line all the way up to the director or the producer or the studio, like, hey, we want to do this, can we do this? Okay, and there's always a budget there. And then once that's all done and filming is done, they hand it to the editor, and this is what I like to do, is once the editor gets all the stuff, he or she has to go through every shot. And then it's usually called dailies, where they'll look at just about every shot that was filmed, and they go through it with the director, and then they'll choose, okay, we want to do these shots, let's edit those, and they go through it. It's a very tedious and boring thing to go through the dailies, but that's usually what the assistant editor does, is he goes through the dailies, and he hands them to the editor. The editor takes all the shots and edits them together and works with the director. And usually that takes about 3 to 6 months, depending on what it is. If it's a big budget film, it's usually going to take about 6 months because you're editing all that stuff. And then you also have the sound editors and the sound mixers the sound mixers create the sound effects for the movies. Every movie has sound effects to get what you want. And then once the sound mixers get all the sounds together and compile them onto a hard drive or on the computer, then they'll hand it to the sound mixer, which they will edit in to the movie, and they'll do all these crazy things to make it look real. They'll add multiple different sounds together to create one sound. Then once that's all done, sometimes you have to go and film again, different shots. They're like, okay, we need to do this. That's why sometimes actors will come back and do their films that they just did because they have to do more things. Or they have to go into the studio and read the dialogue and mash their lips up because sometimes it's difficult to understand them when you film and the sound. So you want to like dub their voices in to the movie. So once that's all done, once you're done filming, when they're almost done filming, they'll start promoting it. Sometimes it's usually about 6 months before the film is released, because then you have not an extra, but you have other people promoting the movie. You have trailers coming out. You get a trailer director to come in and direct the movie or the trailer to put it all together. Then you promote it, and this is where it gets very crazy because it's just promoting, and then sometimes after the trailers are released, people are like, oh, well, this and that. Then you go in and you edit and you fix up some things. Sometimes they'll release a trailer and the animation isn't done yet, the visual effects isn't done. So then what they do is they tweak it up. So once you see the final result, you're seeing something amazing. You're seeing tons of people come together and making one movie. So that is the gist of it, like in a nutshell of what's all to go. And I know I probably missed some people like the catering department or any of those people. Like it's crazy being on set and seeing a movie being made, and it's all these crazy things. But it does come down to with an idea, and that's pretty much what is the key focus in this episode. Is like if you have an idea, just go with it. Like for me, I had an idea for a Christian graphic novel idea, and I wrote in stories, and I kept on writing scripts, and I spent maybe 7 years restructuring the story, and I never got to make it. I made little short films of it, but I never got to where I wanted it because I was never happy with how the story was going. I had a huge dream idea for this, but it never worked out as much as I wanted to. And that's fine. Sometimes some ideas don't work and some ideas do work. And it's just, if you have an idea, go with it, run with it. You never know. You may have an idea that becomes the next big Star Wars. Not saying that every project will become like Star Wars or Star Trek or Lord of the Rings or any of the huge budget successful like Harry Potter. But you never know what your idea may spark. It may spark a whole new way of filming, a whole new way of viewing how we look at movies. You never know. So it's just, don't give up on your dreams of wanting to write a script or writing stories or creating ideas. Like if you're an editor, if you're an editor, you're literally able to do script, direct, and everything because you're literally directing the movie on the side. And that's really cool. And for me, editing it's allowed me to kind of create stories better, be a better storyteller. And that's where a lot of directors come from, is their background was editing. So yeah, if you guys have dreams of making short films and just creating things, go with it. Like that's the coolest thing about filmmaking is there's no wrong way of doing it. You're doing it the way you want to do it, and that's how you see it, then go for it. So yeah, so that is today's episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you want, you can leave us a comment down below, or you can actually check us out. We're on vidme.com, and that's where we're also going to show our stuff also. And if you want to check us out there, we're at the Movie Lounge, or if you want to still check us out on YouTube, you can leave us a comment. Go to our Facebook page and just comment there, and just let's make things happen. You guys have a good day.